Hello students, today I'm going to talk to you about TAKS Objective 4, which is linear equations and inequalities. This is Miss Dalton, so please take thorough notes on your notes packet and come to class with it filled in and ready to go. Okay, so first we're going to start with example 1 in your notes packet. First of all, there is a crucial piece of information that was cut out of this problem, and that's this part right here. This should say $5. Okay, so it says this. Lisa wants to make a long-distance phone call to her friend. She does not want to spend more than $5 on the telephone call. If there is a 50-cent connection fee and a charge of 11 cents per minute, which best represents the number of minutes that Lisa can talk to her friend? So the first thing that I would do is I would go ahead and I would set up a little equation. So we said she doesn't want to spend any more than $5. So this top portion of the inequality, if I plug in those minutes, then I would want it to not be any more than $5. So if we look at our equation, it says that it's going to charge her 50 cents plus a charge of 11 cents per minute. I'm just going to call minute M. So if we take these amounts and we plug it in for M, let's see which one is going to give us an amount that's about $5. Well, if you plug in a 10, that would be 50 cents plus 11 cents times 10. So let me write that down here. 50 cents plus 11 cents times 10. And if you use your calculator, that's going to give you $1.60. So for this amount right here, it's going to equal $1.60. Well, I would say that that's not very close to $5, so let's go ahead and eliminate that answer choice. And let's go to the next one. If we have 40 minutes, so if she talks for a max of 40 minutes, that means I'm going to plug in 40 minutes for M, so I have, 0.50 plus 0.11 times 40. Okay, so if you do that on your calculator, you're going to get $4.90. Okay, well that's pretty close to $5. That might be our answer. But let's look at numbers. Let's look at C, and this one's at 45 minutes. Let's see if that gives us over over $5, and I think it will because we're going to have 0.50 plus 0.11 times 45. Well, you can see that $4.90 only has 10 more cents to spare. But I'm going to have 5 more minutes to this one that's going to get multiplied by 11 cents. So you can see that that's going to push us over the $5. So that's not going to be our answer. And then obviously 50 would not be our answer. And so it looks like our answer is B. Okay, so let's move on to example 2. Example 2 says the student council at Jefferson High School sold a total of 220 brownies and cookies during its fundraiser. Excuse my clock there for a minute. Each brownie sold for 75 cents and each cookie sold for 50 cents. The student council made $136.50 from the sales of brownies and cookies. Which system of linear equations can be used to find B, the number of brownies sold, and C, the number of cookies sold? Okay, so right away we're going to notice this first sentence right here. They sold a total of, hold on, let me get my pen. They sold a total of 220 brownies and cookies. So that means that B plus C has to equal 220. So this one works. This part B, answer choice B, that does not work because it should not equal 136.50. So let's mark that one out. Well, B and C in this one can't equal 136.50 either, so it looks like we can narrow it down to A or D. So let's keep reading. It says each brownie sold for 75 cents. So the brownies sold for 75 cents. Therefore, in my equation, I should have the 75 cents going with the variable B. Well, answer choice A does not have the 75 cents going with B, so that does not work. That leaves us with D, so let's just check that really quick. The brownies plus the cookies equals 220, and that's correct. There are 220 that we sold of each one. And then 75 cents per brownie, so 75 cents B, plus 50 cents on the cookies is going to equal a total of $136.50, which is what that says. That is our answer choice. So that one's an easy one. Okay, let's move on. Okay, let's move on to answer choice 3. I'm sorry, to problem number 3. A waitress at a restaurant calculated her daily pay, P, using the equation P equals 0.15 F plus 17.60, where F is the total amount of food purchased. I'm going to go ahead and underline that. F is the total amount of food purchased by customers. If the waitress sold between $600 and $720 in food, then the amount of her daily pay should be between. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and plug in $600 for F right here. And let's figure out what her pay would be if she sold $600. So we're going to plug it in. 0.15 times 600 plus 1760. Now, if you plug this in on your calculator, you will see that that's going to equal $107.60. So if you look at these answer choices, $107.60 is right here. That's the bottom amount. Let's just go ahead and double check it and make sure that $720 of food will yield $125.60 in pay. So let's go ahead and plug in 720. So 0.15 times 720 plus 1760. And if you do this on the calculator, you will get $125.60. So if the amount of food was between $600 and $720, you would see that her pay is going to yield between $107.60 and $125.60. Problem number 4 says the graph of the equation y equals 5/3 x minus 3 is given below. Graph y equals x plus 1 on the grid. And then it says, what is the solution to this system of equations? Okay, so we're going to graph y equals x plus 1. So if you remember, that means that the y-intercept is 1, and then that means that the slope is also 1, which would be 1 over 1, because the coefficient in front of x is assumed to be a 1. So we're going to graph 1 on the y-axis, because that's our y-intercept, and then we're going to go up 1 over 1 to get to the next point, up 1 over 1, next point, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, and keep going, up 1 over 1. So it looks like this right here is going to be our solution, because if you remember, a solution is where the lines cross the point of intersection. So this right here would be our point of intersection, our solution, and that would be 6, and it appears to be 6, 7. So answer choice C is your answer, and that's how you work that problem. Example 5. The table below shows the relationship between I, the current in milliamperes through a filament, and T, the filament's temperature in degrees Celsius. Which equation best represents the relationship between the quantities in the table? So we need to figure out what the slope is. Well, let's go ahead and figure out what it's increasing by here. So from 320 to 360, that's an increase of 40. Now, concurrently, over on the x value between 80 and 90, it's increasing by 10. This represents our slope. We always do the change in y over the change in x. Our change in y in that first one is 40, and our change in x is 10. So it appears that our slope, if we reduce this, would be 4. So it appears that D is my answer choice. But let's go ahead and check the next the next difference. So 360 to 400, again, it's increasing by 40, and 90 to 100, it's increasing by 10, so it looks like it's a constant rate of change. 400 to 440, again, increasing by 40, and 100 to 110, again, it's increasing by 10. So this is our rate of change, our slope. It's 4, so it does look like D is our answer. Moving on over here to number 6, it says that some students want to order shirts with their school logo. One company charges $9.65 per shirt plus a setup fee of $43. Another company charges $8.40 per shirt plus a $58 fee. For what number of shirts would the cost be the same? Well, we're going to set up two equations here. We're going to look at the first company. One company charges $9.65, so let's write down what company 1 is. Y equals $9.65 plus, per shirt, so let's put an S in here, and then plus a setup fee of $43. Company 2, so we're going to call that Y2, charges $8.40 per shirt, so $8.40 times S, or X, I guess you could use, plus a $58 fee. Okay, so here's our two equations. For what number of shirts would the cost be the same? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to look for a point of intersection. So if you type both of these in on your graphing calculator and look at where they cross, then you'll be able to see which value of shirts gives the same cost. The other thing that you could do if you don't want to graph it is you could take each one of these values and plug it in for S in each equation and see which one gives you the same amount. I'm going to plug it in on my calculator and I'm going to look at the graph. Now, when you put it in on the graphing calculator and put it in for y equals, of course you're going to have to change that S to an X. So I'm going to have an X here and I'm going to have an X in this equation. When I type it in on my calculator, it's a little hard to tell exactly where it's crossing. But if you go to your table, each one of these values is a possible X value that could be a point of intersection. So if you look at your table and you look at these values for X, you will see that X being 12 gives the same Y value in both of these equations. So your answer is going to be B when the number of shirts is 12. Now let's look at number 7. It says on Wednesdays an athlete's schedule follows no more than 75 minutes for morning training. One round of a strength routine S requires 8 minutes. One round of an endurance routine E requires 12 minutes. Which of these best represents the time available for the athlete to spend on strength and endurance routines on Wednesdays? Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to recognize this right here. It says no more than 75 minutes. Let me get my pen. No more than 75 minutes. That means that the amount of time that I spend training should be less than or equal to 75. Well, if you look at these equations right here, the only one that has less than or equal to 75 is answer choice H. So let's make sure that the rest of it makes sense. It says one round of strength training, so S is 8 minutes, so 8 minutes per S, so 8 times S, that works. And then one round of an endurance routine, E, requires 12 minutes, so 12 minutes times E is what you will spend on each endurance routine. And so it looks like that 8S plus 12E, it should be less than or equal to 75, and that looks like a good answer choice. Okay, last but not least, we have number 8 here. Number 8 says that Mrs. Travis wants to have a clown deliver balloons to her secretary's office. Clowns Are Fun charges $1.25 per balloon. I'm going to underline that, $1.25 per balloon, and $6 for delivery. Singing Balloons charges $1.95 per balloon and $2 for delivery. What is the minimum number of balloons Miss Travis needs to purchase in order for Clowns Are Fun to have a lower price than Singing Balloons? Okay, so what I've done right here is I've inserted a picture of this graphing calculator app that I have on my phone since I don't have my graphing calculator with me, and I've graphed the two equations. So Clowns Are Fun is going to be in red. Let me go ahead and change that. In this graph, Clowns Are Fun is written in red. So, and the equation that I put in for that was y equals the 125 per balloon, so 125x plus the $6 delivery. That's the Clowns Are Fun. And then in blue is the Singing Balloons, which is y equals 195x plus $2 for delivery. Okay, so let's look at what's happening here. If you look at the Clowns Are Fun, that's in red, so it's going along this line right here. And you can see at this point right here, that's when Clowns Are Fun starts to become a less price than Singing Balloons, so right in here. Well, if you look down at where this intersection point is right down here, and it looks like it's a little bit past 5. Well, so the five balloons is not going to get a low price for Clowns Are Fun, but starting at 6, if you see 6 right here, that's where the Clowns Are Fun starts to become a less price. It's in the red right here. Again, if you had a graphing calculator, you'd be able to see this better. I just put in a picture of what my graphing calculator app on my phone shows. And again, if you want to get that graphing calculator app on your phone, it's a free app and it's just called Free Graphing Calculator. It's a great app to have when you are just in a crunch and you need a graphing calculator really quick. So, that being said, it looks like our answer choice is B, that it has to be 6 balloons. The minimum number of balloons is 6, and that's when Clowns Are Fun is going to start to have the less price. Okay, so we are done for this lesson. Please bring your notes packet with you tomorrow and be ready to work some more problems on linear equations and inequalities.